we are actually extending life.
Carlton Washington, co-founder and chief evangelist of 4 ever-young anti-aging solutions.
With over 9 years of experience in the health field, Carlton has made it his mission to educate and empower others to look and feel their best.
What is anti-aging?
It's not a cure for aging in terms of you don't live forever, but we were going to keep you as optimized as possible. We can actually keep your testosterone at the level that it was when you're 20, which slows down the aging process, slows down muscle loss, slows down the lack of cognitive function, slows down you losing your libido. We refer to ourselves as pioneers in this space, and selfishly as 40-something-year-olds, we kind of want to take care of ourselves and live a little longer too. My franchise now, on average, costs people $650 to $700K to open. My partner and I did it with $75K. If I offered the same opportunity to anybody else, they'd be, oh man, something came up. I can't meet you at that Starbucks. Something came up. Bro, this is a $30-40 million meeting you just missed. If they want to franchise a business they have, the number one thing that I've learned is
So, Carlton, what is anti-aging?
So for us, anti-aging is the pause of the aging process, or the slowing down of the anti-aging of the aging process. So what I mean by that is, in our business, we do medical aesthetics and we do medical wellness. And through that, people are coming in to either look better or feel better. And so what we do on the side of people that are looking to feel better is we start with blood work. And through the blood work, we can actually see levels of different hormones in your body, other indicators of organ health and functions that we can actually improve, we can optimize, and we can actually slow down or pause. So in terms of like hormone replacement, for instance, like testosterone, we can actually keep your testosterone at the level that it was when you're 20 for an extended period of time, which slows down the aging process, slows down muscle loss, slows down the lack of cognitive function, slows down you losing your libido, slows down you having a bad mood, all of these things. So imagine you can extend that for a much longer period of time. Our parents and grandparents wouldn't have been the same. They would have been much more lively. They would have had much more like enjoyment of life and quality of life for a much longer time. So we give that to people in the sense of health and wellness. In terms of aesthetics, we actually can go in with injectables without doing surgery and remove wrinkles from the face, keep facial volume in terms of collagen loss that happens as we age. It's also related to hormones and things of that nature. Hair, skin, nails, all these things are part of our practice. And we also, on top of that, do medical weight loss, which again, if you're keeping your weight down, you're keeping your hormones optimized, you're keeping your skin from wrinkling, you're keeping it hydrated, and you're supplementing with the proper nutrients. All of these things are going to delay health issues. Typically, they're going to delay the negative aspects of aging that nobody wants to go through for as long as possible, your menopause and things of this nature. And so that's what we specialize in. And, you know, it's not a cure for aging in terms of you don't live forever, but we were going to keep you as optimized as possible for as long as possible. And that's what people are looking for in anti-aging, until maybe one day we do have some kind of medical breakthrough that, you know, actually extends life. But we actually feel that through the manipulation of people's, you know, lab work and vitals and other areas of their health, that we are actually extending life due to the fact that people are getting sick less, they're having less health complications, and not to mention that they just want to live longer too, because they're having a more enjoyable life. Maybe they're not getting as depressed and down because they can't do certain things. So all these things actually do extend life, and we're doing the best that we can at that. We refer to ourselves as pioneers in this space because all of this stuff is still cutting edge, and it's always changing, it's always improving, and new things are always hitting the market. And so the business evolves, and selfishly as 40-something-year-olds, we kind of want to take care of ourselves and live a little longer too. You know, I'm having some symptoms myself. So selfishly, we always want to be in the forefront of that.
Got it. So, you know, a question that I'm not sure if you guys get all the time is, how do you find out that you can create these kind of, things that can enhance our lifestyle or prolong our lifestyle?
So unfortunately, I cannot take credit for that. We get to take advantage of the science and technology after it's been produced. And so a lot of these are things that our doctors are figuring out by accident. Sometimes they're looking for these solutions. Sometimes they're finding out that a medication or this type of therapy actually does something else in the middle of treating some type of other symptom. And so people are finding new applications for different therapies. We get to find out about them. We test them to make sure that they work. And by testing, I mean, we actually make sure that we are utilizing every single thing that we offer our patients. And if it's not for us, making sure our wives, our families, it's got to be something that we would give them, and it's got to be something that works. And once we can verify that, then we feel comfortable offering it to our patients. And so not the scientist and not the smartest guy in the world, but when we find something that works and makes people feel or look better, that is safe and has been proven to be safe, that's when we jump on it and add it to our menu of services and offer it to our patients.
Got it. So, you guys have what we would call a franchise at this point.
Yes.
And so in having a franchise, what does that look like, scaling from, an idea, conception idea, small business to something major that's spread out everywhere and everybody knows who you are?
So for me, and this is my personal take on it, for me, it looks like a lot of pain. It looks like a lot of trial and error. It looks like a lot of unknown and a lot of trial by fire in terms of learning things the hard way. The reason you would want to go with a franchise is because you don't want to do that. And so, but in order to get to that franchise, as a franchisor, you have to be the one to go out there and essentially be the test pilot. And sometimes test pilots crash. And so I always tell people what we sell at Forever Young is the crashes. We sell the mistakes. We sell the errors, and the solutions for them. And so I always tell people, when you're looking to buy into a franchise, especially ours at Forever Young, you're buying a $500K to $1.5 million on average discount to enter our industry, where you should be able to avoid all those mistakes. If you follow the process, there's no reason you should have to make those mistakes again. And that's the value proposition that we have as a franchisor. And so that process was very ugly because we took a lot of lumps. We made a lot of mistakes, and going through those mistakes, each one of them felt like it was the end of the world. And so I tell people that took a lot of toll on mental state, on personal health. The stress levels were very high, but when you come out on the other side of that, you have a great solution. And then it's not so bad the next time. And you're building resilience, and you're building some mental fortitude, and you're building calluses to these things. And when you're able to systematize them, put them all together into a process and make it look cool, with marketing and branding, then you have a franchise offering that's scalable, that's proven, and you're ready to go to market with that.
Got it. So, just going back a little bit, when you're first starting this company, what are your exact thoughts, or what are some early short-term goals you look to just accomplish before even growing to something as massive?
My first goal was to be able to pay my bills, literally. And I tell people this, my franchise now on average costs people $650 to $700K to open. My partner and I did it with $75K.
Wow.
That included build out. That included our operational cash that we needed to support ourselves and our staff. And so we, in order to survive and eat, we're paying ourselves like $200 a week.
Damn.
For about six months or so. And didn't see success until about month 7. And that's all that was on my mind. Your family thought this wasn't going to work. People are ready to make fun of you. Everybody's just waiting for your ass to fail. And so my only thought was, screw all of them. I'm going to show them. And I want to also impress my wife and my son and my daughter that daddy can actually replace his paycheck from his job that he just left the good corporate job, and that daddy's not a failure, right? And I had come out of bankruptcy about a year before that. And so I had that trauma in my mind of never wanting to go through that again, and never wanting to come home and having to look my kids in the eye and tell them that there was going to be some unstable process going on or instability in their household. We've got to move. We've got to sell everything. We've got to never want to do that again. So my biggest concern was just being able to pay my bills. I did not care about making excess money. I did not care about doing anything else. No vacations, nothing lavish. I just wanted to pay my bills and be sustainable and be independent.
So with that structure of a business model at the time, what made you take that leap from leaving corporate to just saying, hey, I'm going to go all in?
Great question. And in my industry of franchising, we call that the corporate refugee. That is somebody, and typically refugees are a lot of time are people who are looking to flee something that they can no longer take. And for me, I always tell people I followed my wife down here. I lost a bet because she had a corporate job in Atlanta, and there was a job promotion opportunity down here with that company. And she's like, I want to move back to South Florida. I want to be with my family. I moved to Atlanta for you. Now it's your turn to give me a shot. And I was like, I do not want to move to South Florida again. I went to high school here. I avoided coming back here, not because I didn't like it, because I actually liked it too much. And I was really afraid of what would happen to me if I came back. I didn't want to get caught up. And so I gave her all these stipulations to ask her employer. And I was like, if they say all these things are okay, they say yes to everything, fine, we'll move. And she came home and they did it. And so I was in a comfortable situation. Even though I had filed bankruptcy, I was comfortable where I was, and I was rebuilding my life. And I came down here about 6-7 different times trying to get a job. My wife had to leave in a month with my son, and I'm overqualified. My resume overqualified for everything I'm applying for. Getting turned down left and right. Nobody would hire me down here. And I'm not going to say why I think that's the case, but I couldn't get a job down here. And so I was living by myself for about 7 months, and I was getting really, really frustrated. So finally, I took a step back into the banking sector, into a job that I never wanted to take again, but I took it just to get down here. And it just so happened that the leader that I had was probably one of the worst managers and leaders I could even imagine. It's like a character out of a movie.
Damn.
I was with SunTrust Bank. And it was to the point that when she came around, like my body would shake and like just shiver, like the energy was just so bad. And I couldn't believe that I put myself in a situation like that again, to be talked to by someone, to be beholden to someone, to pay my bills. And it made me feel like less than a man. And I would wake up every day on the side of my bed. I looked like a depression commercial, and I put my hand on my head and ready to cry every day that I had my alarm went off and had to go to that job. And so one day over time, I was meeting with all these different clients at the bank that had something to do with my industry. And I was so checked out. I was like, let me just start taking notes. And I was like, so checked out that I was like, let me start putting this into a business plan and let me see what this will do, because I was a patient of hormone replacement, which is a service we offer, and it changed my life. And so I started thinking to myself, like, hey, I saw a guy who was doing just hormone replacement and he was doing well. And I was like, this guy's an idiot. Like literally, this guy he's an idiot. The way he's doing it is wrong. The way he's doing it is illegal. The way he's marketing himself, everything about this looks wrong. And I'm like, these are all the ways that I would do it better. And I was like, if this guy can do this, then I can do something much, much better. And so I said, screw it. I started doing the business plan. And at the time, I was so bored down here and I had nobody to really hang out with, nothing to do. So I stopped drinking alcohol, and I met up with a coach who was recommended to me to do a bodybuilding competition. And one of the guys that was at the bank, he told me, and he had done something similar before. He's like, if you want to open this business, you need 50 people that'll sign up for this business. If you don't have 50 people, it's like, I would not recommend you doing this. You might fall on your face. I'm like, well, I don't know 50 people down here. All I'm doing is going to the gym, working out, training for this competition. And I know one guy, and he's my trainer, but he's very popular down here. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ask him. So I just called him up and I was like, hey man, can you meet me at Starbucks? And he was like, I'm with my son. And I was like, bring him too. I was in my suit and tie on a Saturday, man, working. And I met him and I was like, hey man, I want to do this business. This is what I've been working on. Would you be interested? He was like, okay. Wow. So I was like, you serious? He was like, yeah. I was like, all right. So next week we started walking in the community looking for offices. 5 months later, we opened our business August 1st.
And that's your now partner?
Yes. And I only knew him for like a month and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so funny how those stories exist. You know, me and Dan, you know, and starting the production company, we were at FAU together, and I know him for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, couple of weeks. And, you know, long story short, I'm just like, hey man, you got a camera? You want to start a production company? He's like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, have you ever done that? I was like, no, but we can figure it out.
Right.
And sometimes those unfold to be some of the biggest moments.
Did he show up? Did he show up for meetings?
He showed up. Well, it was only me and him. So yeah.
Well, I'm saying like he would show up consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
If people are willing and ready to show up, most people won't show up. I mean, you'd be surprised if I offered the same opportunity to anybody else. They'd be, oh man, something came up. I can't meet you at that Starbucks. Something came up, bro. This is a $30-40 million meeting you just missed. It's not today, but in the future. And so many people miss that $30-40-50 million meeting.
Wow.
And over the years. And so I think it's very possible. I just think that most people are not ready to show up for themselves. I went out with some friends the other night, 6 friends that I knew from, I don't want to go into detail too much, but 6 people that I knew that we reunited. And we were out and we were having drinks, and I sat back and I realized that we were all in a different place. But I realized that the one difference between me and these other people, and this is not a knock on them, but it was the fact that they were not at a place where they believed that they were worthy to be somewhere else. Meaning like they weren't upset about it. For instance, like they didn't feel like more was due to them. And there was such a contrast in the group because of that. And so showing up and believing that you're worthy, I think are huge things that many people just don't possess. Many people out here I see, they don't show up, man.
And that's half the battle, showing up and being consistent.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And so you mentioned hormones earlier. So, you know, give us a little background onto not only what that means, but some of the services that we would encounter in your business.
Yeah. So people come in for a couple different areas of either looking their best or feeling their best. That's how we break the business down into 2 sides. So it's aesthetics, medical wellness. So somebody might come in, they're like, hey, my face is getting old. They don't realize that it's also tied to wellness. They don't realize it's tied to some other things as well. My face is getting old. I don't like it. I'm getting wrinkles here. What can you do about that? As we're getting older, we're losing facial collagen. So people's faces start to sink in and change. What can we do about that? We could do Botox. We can do Dysport, which will alleviate the wrinkles. We can do fillers, which are going to replace the collagen that's in your face and give you that youthful look. We can tighten your skin. We can clean your skin to a degree that you're not doing right now. Clean your pores so that you have that glow through doing facial aesthetics and things of that nature. There's many different things that we could do on that side, and that then would spark your interest on the other side, which is the wellness side. The wellness side typically starts with blood work, which is much more comprehensive where we are, because we're not beholden to insurance. So these are people who are paying cash, who have an interest in their health. And so we're able to show you 9 to 13 pages of blood work that your doctor's never going to run because you can't afford to. Insurance won't approve. And he could say, hey, look, this is your kidney function. This is your liver function. You know, this is, you know, the different blood levels that you have. This is how thick your blood is. This is how all these things are functioning. This is out of range. This is in range. And imagine if you come and everything's out of whack, and we're able to itemize that and put you back in order in every single one of those areas. Optimization. Oh, you look like you're dehydrated. We're going to fix that. Oh, you're drinking too much alcohol. Your liver's hurting. We're going to fix that. oh, your testosterone. Did you know that your testosterone is 200? What's the normal level? Well, the normal level is probably 200. What's the optimal level is the question you need to be asking. That's going to be 800 to 1,000.
Wow.
That's why you feel this way. That's why you're taking naps in the middle of the day. That's why you're, passing out at your cubicle at work. That's why you can't put muscle on anymore like when you were 20s, because your body's not synthesizing protein into muscle anymore. This one fix of optimization, and people don't realize that these things are possible to be fixed. So our patients are people who are doing their research or who are dissatisfied with what they're getting and or determined to hang on to their quality of life for as long as possible. And that's what we provide. We provide the best opportunity to do that, to extend life, to have a better quality of life, to improve their appearance, which you're a marketing guy, you're a branding guy, you know all about marketing and branding your business. Your appearance is a part of that as well. Mm-hmm. People are buying into that. So people, when they realize the value of this and how it's all tied in together, you're looking your best, you're feeling your best, you're making more money, you're outperforming other people, you're competing on the highest level. That's what we sell to people, and we do it at a value.
Got it. Okay. So for people to understand more about your business, what age criteria do you start marketing to?
So it's interesting because the business is always changing and evolving. When we started, aesthetics, for instance, was like really for like 30 and up, 34 to 54 was the sweet spot, women. And I would say demographic wise, it was mostly white women, right? And then manufacturers really got hip to this stuff. And so I always like to tell people think that when you're seeing the Kardashians post something or do something like it's random. It's not random. They've been influencing before influencing was a thing.
Yep.
And so manufacturers realized that they needed to broaden the spectrum of people that they're marketing to, and that a lot of the services we have are preventative, and people are, making them popular as well. So those lips and those cheeks and those jaw lines and all that stuff started to be marketed and targeted more to younger and younger people. So we cut off at 18 in aesthetics. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have parents that are asking us to treat their 14, 15, 16-year-old daughters. We won't do that. We won't do that, and we don't do that. But our marketing, branding behind the manufacturers has now broadened on the aesthetic side to 18 and up. It has widened on each side of that 34 to 54, and it's not just white women anymore. Once you saw the manufacturers go to a more diverse target, it is white, it is Asian, it's Latino, it is Indian, and it is Black. And when I walked into my Fort Lauderdale office and I started seeing Black women in the office, I was like, oh my God. Because my mom was like, this is a fad, right? This is a fad. This is a trend. When I saw that, I was like, it's not a trend no more. Yeah. This is a necessity. This is a lifestyle now. And so we treat all colors. We treat men. We treat women. Deion Sanders was the face of Botox. Oh, wow. A lot of people don't realize that.
I didn't even know that.
He was one of their first male ad campaigns. And now it is nothing to go in your lobby and not just see white women, but to see a Black guy, a white guy, Latin guy, gay guy, straight guy. Gotta go get my Botox, man.
So do you find it harder to, in marketing, do you find it harder to reach out to the males?
No, it's getting easier. The cool thing about our business is that the manufacturers and vendors, these billion-dollar companies, will spend $100 million on ad campaigns, and they don't own the stores. They don't care where they go. It's our job to be the most attractive place for them to go. They're just creating the patient. They don't care where they go. So that's the cool thing about our business, is that your X amount of dollar small marketing budget is backed up by this behemoth $100 million plus. If you think about it, if you add all sides of the business, you're talking about probably like $1 billion in marketing campaign that's going nationwide, that the patient just needs to find you. So we just focus on being found.
Wow. Okay. So now I can definitely see how it's easier to franchise that, get into this. So you're only in South Florida?
No, we're in 15 states.
Wow.
Yeah, we have about 42 stores open right now. We open 2 stores every single month.
2 stores every single month.
Yes.
So just because we have a lot of new people, and even myself, just to give an example of opening 2 stores every month, what do the criteria have to be for you to say, hey, we're going to open blank?
So we're looking for franchise candidates that believe in what we do. We want people who use the products and services, and we want people that have the net worth to be able to do this and sustain themselves while they're building a business. And we also are looking for culture and fit in terms of someone that's going to understand that this is hard work. We are looking for people that want to do the work. We tell people we don't want to sell a franchise to everybody. We turn people down all the time. We want people who are going to come in and they're going to grind for 16 to 18 months and build a foundation for their business and for their family that could be semi-absentee after that period and provide dividends, to their household. We're looking for those people, and we're very selective in that process. And when we find those people, then we negotiate franchise contracts with them, and they go in the process to open their stores. But this only works with quality people, because at the stage of, we're not at McDonald's, we're not Orange Theory, we're still under 200 units. And so everybody that comes on with us, we need them to be successful. We have a vested interest in their success, and it's shared success, because as a franchisor, we don't make money unless they make money. We're getting paid a royalty. So they have to hit, and we don't want to see any stores close.
Got it. So when it comes to the industry and the name, even with Forever Young, do you have a lot of competition in what you have, or what would you say is the biggest competing factor for your industry?
Yeah, so we have a lot of competition because there's a very sexy industry. People from the outside, people are like, wow, all you do is talk to beautiful people all the time, go to nice events, everybody looks great, feels great, people they're well people. These are people who are well. We don't treat sick patients. And so that is really captivating from the outside. People fall in love with that. And so that brings a lot of people into the space, and that creates competition, because people are opening, med spas and things of that nature a lot. They come into the business, they offer great pricing, they want to take, but they don't understand what comes with it. So there's ebbs and flows. They come in, take some patients, but they don't have the blueprint. So they make the mistakes, they close, influx of patients. And now I tell people, this is not the time to get into my industry unless you're coming with a gang. This is a big boy industry now. Private equity's entered the industry. Many of the places that people think are mom and pops are not mom and pops anymore. They've already been bought by private equity. They just haven't changed the signs. And there's a lot of money in this space right now behind the scenes that's being poured into it. So you have some bigger competitors, people who have 50 or more stores, and there's very few of them. But nobody that's in the vitality space like us do I see as a competitor right now, because we are in the lead in terms of locations that are open that offer both services. There are people in the aesthetic arena that have more stores than Forever Young, but not in the dual offering like Forever Young does. And we consider ourselves to be a vitality center. And so there is competition. I love the competition. I want to kill all the competition. That's the thing that really makes me show up for work. It's not the money. I believe we have the best thing. I believe we have the best idea. I believe ours looks the best. And I want to prove that to people. That's the game that makes me excited. So
got it.
But it is very competitive, and you need some thick skin if you want to enter this game. It's not this is still the Wild Wild West. It's being pioneered. It's cowboys out there, and it's not friendly, if you're looking to compete.
Got it. So would your industry be more of a cash flow centered, or would you definitely need to have higher credit limits and scores to really scale off in the industry?
No, yeah. I mean, you're going to want to come in initially well capitalized, and that's a big part of our selection process. You got to be well capitalized, because I tell people 16 to 18 months to build that foundation. That 16 to 18 months might look straight up. That 16 to 18 months might be seasonal. That 16 to 18 months might be a roller coaster until you hit that level in terms of your compounding business patients that are coming in at the different times, because a lot of our services are recurring, whether every 4 months, every 6 months, or every month. So you got to fill all those gaps in the compounding process to get to a stable playing area. And so, yeah, you need to be well capitalized. But then once you do that, that business should sustain you being able to scale into number 2 and number 3. Like we have 3 corporate stores. And if you're really good at that process, sky's the limit. And, running 3 stores is no different than running 4 or 5. And it actually gets easier the more stores you have, because you're able to move team members around. You're able to really consolidate oversight, and the scaling process gets to be a lot better.
Got it. So are you at more of a CEO position now, or just more of a founder position?
I'm in more of a founder position right now. I actually sold majority of the company late last year. And so I'm in more of a founder position, which is very difficult, because prior to that, I was in an executive position. I was the business administrator for the business, and I had a lot more control. And so now I'm kind of like the founder that is a W-2 employee, and I'm still interested in the success of the company, but it's a struggle. I won't lie. I don't like being told what to do, especially with something that I created. And so I'm in a transitionary period right now, which I'm trying to figure out what's next. And it's kind of weird.
And so that period of figuring out what's next, do you want to do something within the same industry, or?
No, I want to do something new. And I don't know what that thing is. I know that the last business that came to me in an organic manner. It was true. It was real. It was authentic. And I don't want to operate. I can't make money any other way. So whatever that thing is, it's got to be real. It's got to be something that helps people, doesn't hurt people. And it's got to be something that makes me want to wake up every day and do it. And so I have gone through the ringer in terms of mergers and acquisitions just recently with the acquisition of my company. I have gone through the ringer of franchising the hard way, which is a very niche industry. And so I have thought about going full-time into the franchise consulting space, helping people franchise their business, helping people sell their business, and helping people buy franchises.
So that's interesting. So when you say help people franchise their business, elaborate on that a little bit more.
So if you have, and I really like brick and mortar stuff, but let's just say you have like the Coco Love restaurant, right? And it's like all built around like, I don't know, coconut theme, great coconut water. And I come to your restaurant one day and I'm like, there's a line out the door for this like Coco Love place. And it's got like green, white and brown colors. And it's like well put together. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And you see like a little mess behind the scenes, kind of, but it's like, you're doing the math. You're like, this place is cranky. People love this place. That to me is a perfect opportunity for someone like myself to step in and say, hey, have you ever thought about franchising? And then what are you going to say? Probably, what's that? McDonald's? Like, what do you mean? Like, that sounds crazy. Well, I've done that before. Let me kind of show you what the process is and what that entails. And if that person's ambitious enough and believes in their concept enough, we can take them down a process where now you have 10 Coco Loves. Or if you're really going for the moon, now we got 100, 200 Coco Love franchises. I'm just using this name, or whatever it is. And maybe you're just really good at this one thing, but you didn't have the acumen or didn't understand the other aspects. So if you were able to build a team or you're able to get some consulting around that, next thing you know, your dream is bigger than you could ever imagine. And that's what a franchising process will look like. These are real stories. And I've met a lot of people who have made a lot of money without selling themselves out, by simply sharing what they knew, sharing their best practices with other people and scaling them with professionals that knew what they were doing in that space.
No, absolutely. So, with you being on the topic of teaching, do you have courses to teach about, Forever Young and everything like that?
So we do. Yeah. Every month we have a Forever Young University. We have training. It's a lot of education, but that's solely for franchisees that have purchased into Forever Young system. I personally just have people that come up to me and then I end up spending an hour on the phone with them for free. And I just tell them what I know, give my resources. People have told me I need to stop doing that, but that's what I do right now. I don't have a course. I don't have anything like that. I try to show people just through social media, kind of like what I do, how I do it. The funny thing is it's all kind of there if somebody were actually to watch. It's so funny because I think it's like what we talked about before. People just don't want to do like simple, small stuff. You know, like if I told somebody that if they move this table, 100 of these tables, picked up 100 of these tables and walked it to South Beach, that they would potentially make $10 million. But you just got to walk from here, from Hollywood, Florida to South Beach, back and pick up a table and take it there. They don't want to do that, man. They're going to give up.
Yeah.
It's just too much. What is that going to take? It's probably going to take, 50 days for them to do that? It's too much, man. They just can't bear it. And I'm just using that as an example for the way I feel most people, what's standing in the way of most people's opportunity. And so they just can't do it.
So, you know, we get to the part finally of the show where I call it the gem drop section. And so in this section, we like to reward people for making, for it's usually around 25 minutes, 30 minutes or so, where if you're watching this long, you should be rewarded in a kind of way. And so how can we reward them, or I would like you, if you could reward them with giving them the first, 5 steps, as if you were doing like a session with them, teaching them how to franchise a business that they have.
Awesome. So if they want to franchise a business that they have, the number one thing that I've learned is you need to start looking at your business much bigger than you do. So if you're a 1 unit, whatever it is, if you're a painter, an electrician, a sub shop, a breakfast place, whatever your business is, it's no longer just Joe's Plumbing. It's no longer Joe's sub shop. You need to go home and reset your mind to say, this is the biggest opportunity. Nobody has better sandwiches than Joe's sub shop. And I'm going to tell everybody why. How am I going to tell everybody why? Okay. Branding and marketing. Okay. Is branding and marketing your expertise? Yes or no? No, you're the expert at Joe's subs. Okay. So you need to go through a branding exercise and you need to go pay for that. You want to be the biggest sub shop in the world, right? All right. So you're not willing to spend $5,000 to go fly out to the Colgate Palmolive or the Procter and Gamble consultant from Harvard to do a brand strategy session. $5,000. That's the first, by the way, that's the first sacrifice and the first display of sacrifice you're giving to the universe, by the way, is that $5,000 or whatever it costs. And that flight or whatever it takes for you to get over there. That's a commitment. That's an expression of your commitment. So boom, do that. So now we're putting a brand. Who's buying Joe's subs? We need to profile this customer. Okay, what colors do they like? What colors express Joe's subs? What areas of my current brand and marketing could use improvement? Okay, boom. This is the color code now. This is the brand. This is the demographic target. This is the ways we're going to reach our audience. And this is the reason why people are currently coming in. Now we want to duplicate that. Rip all the crap off the wall. We're going to repaint. We're going to rebrand. And everything has to now be like this, right? So now we've visualized ourselves as this big business. We're treating it that way. Now it's going to look that way. Then comes, what am I selling? What's unique about Joe's subs? Okay, I make my bread every morning fresh. I only use these tomatoes and I only use these 6 ingredients and I only get my meat from Boar's Head or wherever, nothing else. That's what people love. That's why they're lined up at the door. Not one other thing. Okay, so now what do we got to do? You know this, other people don't know this. So now we need to put this into a process and a system. Are you good at building processes and systems? I'm not. You're probably good at subs, right? So what are we going to do again? If you're paying attention, what did we just do last time? We paid a branding expert to help us with our brand. Now we're going to go and get some consulting and get an expert to help me systematize what it is I do every single day and what makes this a unique experience. So now we have our marketing. Now we have our branding. Now I believe that this is a big business. I believe it. Now we package this up. Now the next thing, legal. Can't just go out there just slinging franchises. This is a regulated space. We need to go file for a franchise disclosure document. This is a long document about this thick. all the rules, all the regulations, all the enforcement. How much are you charging for your franchise? How much is the royalty that you're collecting every month, every 2 months, every day from your franchise? I got to put all that in a document. I got to put it into legal terms. I got to file it with the states that I want to sell in. I got to make sure that I can sell in these states. Are you a lawyer? No, you make the best subs. All right, so now this shit is getting expensive, right? We just spent $25,000 probably on a consultant to systemize my stuff. We just spent 5,000 plus flights or whatever, maybe let's call it 10,000 to rebrand or to improve the brand quality. And now you're talking about a legal document. How much is that going to cost me? How many hours is that? Now it's time to call for probably about 60 to 100 grand. Ooh. Damn, but I haven't sold one friend. Yeah. I thought you wanted to be the biggest sub shop in the world. All right, so get the 100 grand, 60 grand, or if not, just stick with your one shop. Are you sure this is necessary? Yes, this is necessary. Okay, so now we have our FTD, we have our brand, we have our systems in place. Now what do we got to do? Now we got to go sell some franchises. Are you a good salesperson? Maybe. You probably are good at selling your brand, but you need someone that knows how to sell franchises, knows how to get clients. So what are we going to do? We're going to go and we're going to get a sales consultant to help sell my brand. How much is that going to cost me? $25,000 to $150,000 to get into the network. Damn. So I'm out like $225. You said you wanted to be the biggest franchise company in the world for Tom subs. So, okay, spend the $225. So now what? Now we wait. First person comes in, wants to buy Tom subs. Close them, sell them, tell them why this is great. Don't lie. Tell them the truth. Tell them the ups and downs. Make sure they're financially qualified. Make sure you know what you're looking for. If you don't know these things, we're going to hire a consultant just like we did before. And now we're in the game. We got our first franchisee. What do we got to do? Now, this is the problem. This is the problem. You want to focus on your shop. Can't do that anymore. You got to make sure this person's successful. You owe them that. You legally owe them that. And now we got to do franchisee support. And that's when things get rocky. Because you're no longer the owner of Joe's Subs. You are now a franchisor of Joe's Subs, and you got to let that go. And you got to make sure these people are successful, or you're going to lose more than that $200K that you put in. You're going to get sued, and they're going to take everything, and you're not going to sell any more franchises. That's the 5-minute version, gems and tips. And I always tell a mutual friend of ours, every room I go into now and everybody I talk to now, I just challenge them. And this is going to sound a little negative. I just tell people, you're not going to do it. You know, that's why I can give the gyms, because most people aren't going to do it. Most people are not going to sit down and do these steps because it's hard. You know, it's not like it's a first world problem. It's not like, you know, we're out in the cotton fields, but it takes some work, and it takes an investment, and it takes you believing first before somebody else does. And if you can sustain that belief for long enough and stay true to your brand and stay true to the people who believe in your brand, then these are multi-million dollar opportunities. And in some cases, $1 billion opportunities, because Jersey Mike's is not a multi-million dollar establishment. I'm pretty sure Jersey Mike's is a $1 billion establishment. We know Subway is billions, and we know McDonald's is infinite. Yeah. So, and it all starts somewhere. And so these are the questions people need to ask themselves what they're ready to do. And if they are, reach out. You know, I'll help you.
Got it. Wow. So how do you feel about the phrase, tough times create tough people create good times create weak people create tough times?
It's unfortunately so accurate. And it is the greatest concern that I have on a daily basis, that is in the back of my mind, because people who believe in that phrase also believe that we are suffering now and are about to start suffering due to that. And so in the business that I'm in, I can tell you this is a term that's used by young people, built different. These people out here are built different. And so the pros of this are people in my demographic, or even young people who are in these different generations. If they have the ethic of the old, and of the tough, if someone's been through a tough time, if they've been through adversity and it hasn't sank them, you can demolish people out here right now. Most people I see in business are so weak. They're so cowardly. They are so incapable that if you're able to make it through tough times and apply yourself out here, there's a lot of opportunity. I fear for the future, but for people now that can seize that opportunity, and I think that's what you're seeing with people, you're not seeing the smartest people in the world who are balling out of control. Very rarely, right?
Yep.
Sometimes, and most of the time, the smartest people in the world can't get out of their own way. So it is the people who do less thinking and more do, less complaining, less anxiousness or to the point of debilitation. And just, it's just simple. I think people are all in their minds. People are scared. People are embarrassed to fail. People are, I try to do social media content with my staff, and they don't have anything to lose. And it's so difficult because not today. Oh, my hair, I didn't get trimmed up. Oh, I didn't do my makeup right. Why do you don't have anything to lose? What are you talking about? It's a little social media clip.
Yeah.
If you won't even just do the 30-second social media clip and put yourself out there, God, I feel so bad for these people, man. That means you'll never step up for your opportunity, because every opportunity that's worthwhile, that pays, always starts with that feeling of like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not prepared for this. I'm not capable of this. Like, that's what you got to go through. And you got to be able in the back of your mind to pull on the comment that you just talked to say, you know what? This is kind of like that one time where, I made it out to the other side. And I made it out to the other side with that. So I think I'm going to be okay with this. I'm just going to just go with faith.
So when we're placed in a position like that, because I can super relate to just that in general, we have kids, and the same mindset that we had to develop from being in those tough times, we now create good times for our children. And so, what do you feel about, your kids following your pathway, or you kind of letting them do their own thing?
Bro, I'm on top of that all the time. My kids have done things and been places that I never was when I was a kid. I'm a car guy, so they ride in cars that I didn't know existed when I was a kid. And I never knew what the inside of those things looked like until I was in my 20s. I'm very conscious of it all the time. And I try my best to balance it. So I bring my kids to volunteer. I expose my kids to things that are outside of their pretty little life that they have. I tell them I don't give a damn about their little feelings and their little emotions and things of that nature. I have empathy and I have love for my kids. I love my kids, but don't come at me with this soft stuff. They don't have a shoulder to cry on for that. They don't. They don't. And I really don't care. I think that the adversity is the greatest gift that they can have, and they don't have much of it at all. My kids don't have designer clothes. My son sleeps on a mattress on the floor in his room. My daughter has old furniture. They get toys every once in a while. They don't have video games like that. They don't have access to phones. They don't have an iPad. My oldest daughter is 23. She works, and she knows not to cry about it. I purposely put her in situations that make her uncomfortable as much as possible. And she knows that I'm here to support her, but I'm not here. I don't want to hear her BS story about she's scared of something or she doesn't feel like doing it or I'm not falling for that. I'm not falling for that. It's a curse. I live in Parkland, Florida. I think it is disgusting what I see in my community a lot of the time, because it's a community full of high net worth, but it's also a community in which I see a lot of people, and this is not all people, allowing the net worth to raise the kid. And the outcomes are not good. And if you're in South Florida, if you've been here for a long period of time, you're in Boca Raton, Parkland, Florida, Western Florida, nice parts of Miami. Where do these kids end up? We all know what they end up in rehab.
Yep.
They end up dead, fentanyl overdoses, rehab. They're the shame of their families a lot of the time. Why? Because they look back and the parents gave them everything. Johnny didn't want to go to basketball today. Johnny doesn't have to go to basketball today. If Johnny doesn't feel good about something, or he doesn't want to eat this, Johnny doesn't have to eat it. That's not how we grew up. I'm assuming that's not how you grew up.
Nope.
And the best thing and that's why you see minorities, immigrants, and groups and classes like that stomping all over people because they still got old school traits. In the Black community, our parents were still telling us, like, you got to do better than everybody else. You can't make the mistakes other people have. I don't want to hear your excuses, right? Because they know, right? And so people have all these like diversity and inclusion initiatives and stuff like that. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And it's not because I don't want to see people have opportunities. It's because I realize that smart, savvy businesses don't need diversity and inclusion to bring on minority and other cultures into their businesses, because the ones that know actually realize that those people work harder than everybody else. And so the smart businessman is going to take advantage of that, and the marketplace is going to determine their success, because the people who are not like what we're talking about are the ones that are making all the moves and making everybody rich, and then eventually making themselves rich.
Wow. So
who works the hardest in South Florida? Let me ask you that. What culture? What?
Oh,
who works
minorities.
The but what? Give me one that comes to mind.
Latinos.
Okay. I say Haitians.
You know, that would have been my second one. Haitians
are the hardest working individuals to me in South Florida, next to Latinos in a way. But Latino culture is also going through a phase where they are going to different, so that generation now is of being at the bottom is now not necessarily where many of them are at. Whereas many Haitians there's still a lot of Haitians that are in that spot where they're out here working to really set up the next generation. And they're out here with their heads down and like working the job and doing the work and not really complaining like that, you know? And so this is just my take. Again, I don't have the data, but when I see them, and then I do see Latin American community, but it depends on where they're coming from. You know, I'd say Central America, right? And then who does everybody complain? I'm not going to ask that question, but it goes back to what you're saying. You don't want a kid that comes from a background that lacks adversity. Nobody wants that kid working their business. I deal with it everywhere. I'm sure you deal with it everywhere. I wanted to throw my smoothie in the girl's face this morning because I asked her for a smoothie. I go there every single day. I buy the same thing. She's on social media and she's like, what?
You ever been in the military?
No, I've never been in the military. No. Almost went to the Marines, and then I got it. I luckily at the last minute got accepted to school, and I had to backtrack. I had to get signed out and everything, man. But no, I've never been in the military.
You would have fit in with us. I was in the Marine Corps, so you know I feel like. But even before then, a lot of people with that mindset, you know, that's the question that I'm going to ask too. Is, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you went to the military, so you got all this crazy structure, this and that, blah blah. And I said, honestly, the struggle put that structure in me before I even got to the military. The military enhanced it for sure. You know, I went on deployments and whatnot, but before then, something had to give, and I had to have discipline. The discipline had to be developed over time, and so, you know, a lot of people don't go through a certain level of adversity, and that in itself causes them to not be able to deal with life. And life is very real. You'll have people that understand what they need to do to get to the next level and literally just simply not do it.
It's a curse. And I think about this a lot, that the only people you really can kind of blame and be mad at in this world are your parents. There's some people out here that really should be upset with their parents. Like they should be very upset at their parents, because when we're raising children and we take this away from them and we set them out into the world with no direction, that's not really our fault. Up to a certain point, that's not really our fault. If our moms can't get their shit together enough to work it out, a family situation, or our dads can't see the value and maybe I need to be here for these kids, or I need to participate, or maybe we should put the kid before our wants and needs and things of that nature. That's something you should be mad about, right? Mm-hmm. If your parents don't make you go to practice when you don't want to go to practice, or they don't make you go find a job, even though you want to sit on the couch and play Nintendo all day or PlayStation, you get older and 18 plus and you're struggling in your life. That was the pivotal moment that messed you up. And I think people really should, that's not going to get you anything. Being angry is not going to get you anything. But if you realize that, I think it's okay to voice that frustration, but then realize that now I got to go find that struggle that I didn't get when I was 13 years old. I got to go find that. I think maybe some people do get that when they go to a boot camp in the military. That's sometimes the last resort for some people, and it changes their lives. Because if the world's not beating you up, if you didn't get, the worst thing now is these kids talking about anti-bullying. If you didn't get bullied, that was part of your passage. That was part of your rite of passage.
Yep.
The way you survived the bully, the reaction you had to the bully is what determines the outcome for the rest of your life. It sets your pecking order. And so if you rolled over, you roll over for life. If you got fed up one day and you took it for a while, and then you had that classic interaction where you fought back, you're a fighter. That sets you up for the rest of your life. And that's where you see people at mid-level positions at work, lower level positions at work, leadership positions at work, and then people who are entrepreneurial mindset, who are just like, screw this system, I'm operating outside of the system. All this stuff is determined through this. So when we don't want our kid, I don't know if you have kids. You have kids?
No, not yet.
Okay. Got 3 kids, man. They don't fight in school, bro. They don't get into like the classic fist fight. To me, that's very important. My son needs to be in a fist fight. My daughters need to be in a fist fight. This should not get them kicked out of school. Maybe a suspension or something like that. This is where they're learning who they are. You got to fight. There's a fight in every part of life. And so when we take that away from our kids, we rob them of their future opportunities. And that's why we have all these screw up kids, teenagers, 20-year-olds, 30-somethings who cannot get it together. They're on psych drugs and they can't handle walking out their front door. And so you got to be mad at yourself, or you got to be mad at your parents. And even when you figure that out, then it's time to make a decision, and we got to move forward, and you need to go seek adversity. You can go find it through fight training. Tim Ferriss, I don't know if you ever read the 4-Hour Workweek.
Yep.
Changed my life. If you've never been beat up before, if you've never been in a fight, if you've never had adversity, okay, so now it's time to go get your ass kicked. Go through a fight camp. Go get your ass kicked. You're going to come out on the other side as a different person. You're going to come out on the other side with confidence greater than you ever had before. And that's going to be your new beginning. That's going to be where your life changes. It may be something else, but you got to go do something to be beat down and built back up to see what you can take. And if you don't do this to yourself, you will never achieve these great things that you see when you're scrolling through Instagram with people who probably have done that, unless they're just stunning for the gram.
No, absolutely. So, even in you saying that, like, I don't want to phrase this because there's a lot more sensitive people out there, and it's the foods that people are eating nowadays, and the information that they're consuming from a lot of these movies and everything. You have stuff like, even when I was in the military, Mothers of America, I'm in the military, literally being trained to be a killing force for the United States. And they're complaining that, oh, you're yelling at us too much in boot camp, or the knife hand, like, oh, we can't do it. Like, it's a signal. And, how do we continue to do these things? And there was a clip that went across the internet at some point where it was high school kids. They looked like they were going to boot camp, but it was like training for like I don't know, Russia. Like that's what Russian kids were doing in high school. Like, and they were just jacked, all of them jacked, and they were at, you know, optimal fitness and everything like that. So how do we, as like a, you know, country or people, even especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, understand that this isn't corporate?
That is why many people do not go down this road, because this is not for conformity. Conforming is going to get you the results that everybody else has. Don't take my word for it. Go look up income statistics from the IRS. Go look at what everybody else has. Mm-hmm. Go look up what the average person has in their 401k. Go look up what the average person's home looks like. Go look up what the average what's the most popular car? What's everybody driving? Okay, if that's what you want, then go do average stuff. If that's what you want, tell your kids that physical education is not a priority. Tell your kids not to go to practice when they don't feel like. Tell your kid you're going to call the school because you got in a little fight or tussle with somebody, and you're going to go and fight their parents or go fight the school or say, why did this happen to my son? Keep doing these things. Keep doing this weak stuff. It's never going to work for you. You have to be willing to fight that. You have to be willing to be a voice for that. And you have to believe to the point that maybe it's worth losing people who do believe in that. Like, I don't care about anybody that thinks about the things that we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. If that's their belief system, I don't need them. I don't sell to them. I don't want them coming into my, I don't need to sell to them. I don't want to sell. There's so many customers out there, right? I don't need you to follow me. I don't need you to buy franchise consulting from me. I don't need you to come to my business. I don't care. It's not for that. And I'm at a place in my life right now where, because of that outlook, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to associate with those people. And I see that the comment that you made about strong men and then the outcome of the weakness that comes later is something that I think a lot of people are conscious of right now. And you see a lot of people splitting. And there's a culture of people who believe, like what we're talking about right now, that is not okay, and that they're not going to raise their kids like that. And I think that that's what's needed. And I hope that voice gets louder and louder and louder. You see all the time, though, that this is something that's very controversial. You see people getting deplatformed just for telling people to be strong, just for telling people, you know, that like cutting off your dick is not normal. You know, like that's controversial. Yeah. Like, I know that in certain places, like in Cali and New York, maybe even Atlanta, people talk about that stuff as like, you can have somebody like protesting in front of your business because of that. Mm-hmm. I'm not buying that. You know, like I talk to my son about these things all the time. Like, you cut your dick off, son, like don't come home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, you know, like, what are we talking about here? Right? Like, I don't buy into it. I'm 44 years old. If there's a consequence to it, so be it. I pay my taxes, and I'm just not buying into it. You know, that's the only thing I'm worried about, paying my taxes. IRS, leave me alone. I pay my taxes, but all this other stuff, I'm not buying into it. And I'm going to take great pride in raising people that you would think were raised in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or maybe the early 90s.
And that's refreshing. You know, I feel like life is all about balance, because somebody came on a previous episode and we were talking about the industry nowadays, where online has made it where people that haven't done the work, haven't done the experience, can become coaches and all of this stuff and everything. And you know, I have to show people constantly, because they sour the name of business coach or mindset coach now. And I'm like, look, man, my first LLC was in 2011. Yeah, I'm only 31 years old. Like, I've been doing this for a long time, right. You know? And so,
dude, I'm so glad you brought this up. I feel so strongly about that. So look, I like we were talking before, I am the forever young guy. I am a franchisor and I do wellness and aesthetics, and I've been head down in that bubble for 10 years. I am just starting to get out, do some personal branding, talk to people, and I've been burned so much since I've entered the internet space. I've lost so much money. I've dealt with so many illegitimate people that look so great online. I've been to their houses. I've been to their apartments. I have these, man, I've met some of these people that people think are killing it. 1.5 million plus followers, 11 million followers, whatever it is. I know these people, man. You need to do your due diligence on these people. You need to go deep. You need to do a background check. And I'm not talking about the little ones you get for $19.99 a month. If you're doing business with these people, you need to get a private investigator. These people, there's some that are legitimate, but the majority of them are frauds. And many people have learned that through production value and manipulating of social media platforms, that you can stay home all day, buy one nice suit, rent a car, and rent a house, show people this, and that somebody out in Minnesota or in, what I mean, out in Alabama or whatever is going to be like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. How can I be like you? And they're like, okay, $5,000 a month. Boom, they get it, and then they're ghost or whatever. And they change the name, take the profile down, move, whatever. And it's unbelievable the amount of times that this happens. And I would say it's more than not. More people who are saying they're coaches, more people who are on these stages and these platforms presenting to you are full of shit. They are 100% full of shit. They can't create anything. They can't operate a business. They have no business acumen whatsoever. And then when the guys that I know that are real walk into the room with them, they're behind the stage like, hey, can you show me how to do this? Can you tell me how to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my God, it's really sad and it's really scary. And I look to avoid people like that. There's some people that I came up with in mindset and coaching sessions that helped me greatly, by the way. It helped me greatly. I went to Eric Thomas's coaching system, changed my life. But I saw people who took that information and created legitimate businesses. And then I had people in my group that created illegitimate businesses. So they're coming into town, we're doing masterminds, they're renting cars, doing photo shoots, renting, you name it. Everything is fake. Yep. Every single thing is fake. And they've had tremendous success. I counted the numbers on one of these guys. I was like, I think this guy's done $26 to $40 million in sales since we came out of this program. None of it works. The people that I know that used it went bankrupt, lost all their money, major purchases. It was so crazy, man, because depending on your belief system, I tried to buy into some of these things because I was naive. God wouldn't let it happen. Facts. They ghosted me. Damn. And I don't know if it was just like a karma thing, but I actually think that these people can intuitively, what it is that they know is they know who to do this to and who not to do it to. Yep. They don't want smoke with somebody that's really gonna be like bring that fire in them. So if they feel like that, they'll be like, I'll get back. They don't want you in that network. Because when you go to these seminars, when you go to all these big sold out events, look in the crowd. Look who's in the crowd. Look at these people. Do these look like people that are going to be able to take this knowledge and advice and see it to fruition? Let's just be honest. I know that's not the right thing to say. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I know what they look like. I know what the people that I see who are successful, I know what that looks like and what that feels like. That's not the people that are the majority in these crowds. And so what are you doing? You're selling hope. You're selling a dream. You're taking people's money. You're telling them to go create a business. They don't have business acumen. You're telling them to create a business. You just said a lot of these people can't even, if their feelings get hurt, it's going to be a bad day. Yep. You're not ready for this. So, and that's not a popular message. I probably wouldn't do well in that space. But it's not a popular message, but that's what I see. And so anytime I get a chance, I tell people beware. I've lost a lot of money with people who some of these people are, there's one guy, big name, 2 million subscribers, YouTube, fancy cars, fancy house, dip with my money. Damn. Then I go and start researching the guy's name that you know him by is not his real name. The real name is the one where all the felonies are. The house is rented, the cars are rented, and they take the money from this month to finance the next month. And then it's just it's a Ponzi scheme. And I met many people like that. So beware.
Yeah, that's why, pages like Baller Busters,
I love it,
exist. I'm constantly on there sharing their stuff. They're liking my stuff and all of that. And I let people see that traction as well. Cause it's like, hey, these are the people that we're associated with. They can like certain stuff, and people often judge my profile because, again, I'm kind of old school, just like you. You know, I'd rather brick and mortar. And, you know, going into the online space, there's so many just pansies and there's so many fakes that my personal brand only has 1,700 followers, you know? And so when people see, they're like, oh, how are you going to help us? Whatever. And it's like, well, I did go to school for this. I dropped out because I started making more than my professors, but, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and you can actually pull up to my building
the hard way. I like that. Actually, I don't judge people by that anymore. Because I learned that the hard way. So in my business, we use influencers a lot. We tell our franchisees, do not go chasing the 2 million follower girl, giving her all this stuff, letting her talk to you crazy. I want everything in the store because, bro, it's not real. It's not real. Half of it's fake. And the ones that's not fake is just a whole bunch of perverts, right? You know, it doesn't convert. Whereas I could bring in a mommy blogger, 1,700 followers, 1,500 followers, 1,000 followers in Fort Lauderdale. She could fill my seats. The mommy blogger, she says just one time that this is the place to go. 500 people might see that. 250 of them might come in the next 6 months. The girl with the ass in the 1.5, 2 million followers, nobody's ever coming. Nobody's coming. And there's guys like that out there too.
Yep.
You know, so I'd rather deal with somebody who's really connected to their audience and really helping people and doing that work. It'll come, but it doesn't look like that
at all. And you know, that brings that quote where they say, never meet your heroes. I've met some of my heroes now, and I understand that completely because, you know, there's people that have been in these industries for a very long time, and then you find out a lot of it's fake, and you're like, but wait, you know, like, hold on, like this is what I grew up on, or this is what, you know, we learned, or this is what it was, or blah, 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 fill in the blank. And when you see some of these entrepreneur professionals or the older guys, the legends, and they're literally legends, like that are still doing tours and stuff. And you're like, you have fake followers? You have fake likes and all of that stuff? Like, that's not organic. Why do you need that? You're this person. Like, you don't need that. And they're like, oh, well, you know, I do. You know, it enhances and whatever. So it's a lot. But Carlton, man, you know, just this conversation is just refreshing to you know, be able to bounce information off of each other in a sense that it's like, hey, you know, because we believe that life is balanced. Life is always going to be balanced. And that was on a previous episode where we said, are scammers necessary for these industries? And the conclusion by the end of the episode was yes, because if you have nothing but real people around, we wouldn't be the United States that we are now. And so to a certain point, as unfortunate as it is, you need those scammers to weed out a lot of these weak individuals that are gonna make choices that aren't solidified in, I did my research, I did my due diligence. And that's not to say some of us don't make mistakes, because I've lost a ton of money as well. But that just goes to show, like, hey, what are they going to do after that?
Right.
Are they going to be part of my business? Are they going to end up your business? You know, you would never know if everybody's on the same playing field. So
yeah, maybe it's a necessary evil. I hate it. It especially in South Florida, it's turned me into a different person. I went to New Orleans the other day, and I was like, what the hell? Why are you guys being nice to me? Like, say hello to me. Like, what the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it took me about 2 days to adjust to that. And every time I go to these places, I realize even New York City is nicer than South Florida.
Yep.
And I realized, man, you are really in the jungle down here. I have been coast to coast in many places in the world, and I will tell you, I've never experienced the amount of scamming and illegitimacy and lies that I've seen in the last 10 years here in South Florida. I've never had the amount of people go to federal prison that I've seen in South Florida. And I'm not talking about like people from the streets. I'm talking about people in like my neighborhood. I'm talking about people that live in mansions. I'm talking about, people that all the people, I'm talking about some people you've seen online. You have to be. This is a great place to go through some adversity, to tell you the truth. Because if you can make it here and make it out of this without going to jail and doing people right, you can become a big fish in a little sea that can have a great reputation, because it's few and far between where you will meet people down here that are going to show up on time. That's why I asked, did he show up? Show up, do what you say, and do it over and over again like that, to the point that no one can say that guy screwed me over. That's worth more than $1 million credit line.
Yep.
And people don't realize that. And it takes time and it takes effort. And that's never going to change. And so that's the hack. If you want to hack, if you want another gym, give yourself a longer period of time than now. Go underground. Forgo the stunning. Be embarrassed for a while. Dress down for a while. Go to the gym. If you're really, really serious about what you want to do, stop drinking, stop smoking 6 months, 8 months. Don't say you have to do it forever. Give yourself and the universe the belief that you're serious about what you want to do, and start separating yourself from little deeds, being honest, telling people the truth, coming through, even if you're sick, whatever, just coming through and knowing what that means, and that you're building credibility. These little things, I think, are the hacks to people actually getting rich, but it's just not going to be in 2 years. It's going to be, unfortunately, what I've been told, and I didn't want to hear this myself, probably closer to 8 to 10. But it can be for anybody, because most people can't run a game that long.
Compound effect.
Yeah,
man. Carlton, this was amazing. Thank you for coming on the show. If people wanted to learn more from you, you have a lot of gems, and I know there's so much that you didn't even bring up. If they wanted to tap in with you, follow you on social media, where could they do that at?
No, I appreciate you guys having me here. I don't have a website yet. I have somebody working on that right now. But right now, you can find me. I use Instagram as my business card. So it's Carlton _Washington, CARLTON _Washington on Instagram. And I use LinkedIn as well. So it's just Carlton Washington on LinkedIn as well. And right now, I don't have any programs. I don't do any coaching. If people need advice, I just kind of give it to them right now. Eventually, I should probably monetize that. But right now, I'm trying to learn what I want to do next. I'm trying to learn what's next for me. And so I like meeting people, bouncing ideas, and really helping out people that are like what we talked about, people who want to do things the right way and who understand what it's going to take to get there.
No, absolutely. There you have it, guys. Dropped a lot of gems. Listen, make sure you share this, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And this is another episode of Attractive Mindset. I'm your host, Mastermind Moneybag Rich. And as we always say, we look good, we live good, life is good.